about your test tomorrow. You're going to be assessed on solving equations and inequalities algebraically, okay? Now, the difference between an equation and an inequality is for an equation, has an equal sign. So we're saying that the variable represents one possible solution. So maybe that solution is -9. We're saying that the only solution to that equation is -9. Now, an inequality, on the other hand, has a range of solutions. So inequalities have inequality symbols like this. One of the four, because there's the greater than, the less than, greater than and equal to, less than and equal to. And what we're saying is anything that is greater than -9 is a solution. So equations have one solution. Well, for the purposes of this unit, they have one solution. Inequalities can have a whole range, okay? Which is why we often graph inequalities, because we want to show on a number line all those solutions. We don't often graph equations because it will be pretty boring. It would just look like this. There's the solution. Okay, and yes, you can graph equations, but we don't usually do that because, like I said, that's boring and pretty straightforward. Okay, we graph inequalities just to show that it could be everything. So we're talking about x being greater than it. So it says -9 can be a solution because it's equal to that as well. So I'm going to shade it in. And I'm going to shade everything that is greater than -9, because everything that is greater than -9 is a solution to that inequality. Okay? So that's the main difference between an equation and an inequality. Okay? Now, are there any questions from your study guide, either study guide, we've got 2 of them, that you feel like would be worth going over? Ones that are stumping you, ones that are a little wonky. Yes. Sure.
On the equation study guide,
Uh-huh.
over number 7 and number 8.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, yeah, those are great questions. And when we're talking about inequalities, we never do grouping. We never do inequalities with grouping. Okay, that's not part of the standard. But when we have equations, we need to be able to solve them when they have grouping. Like here we have grouping, here we have grouping, here we have grouping. Okay, so those are really good ones to look at. So let's take a look here at number 7 on your equation study guide. We have -5, parentheses, p plus 2 is equal to -80. Remember, when there is grouping, we can multiply and divide first. There's a couple different ways we can do it. We can divide both sides by -5 and just get rid of it right off the bat. And you'd be left with p plus 2 is equal to what is that, 16? Yes. And then I would subtract 2 from both sides, and I would get that p is equal to -18. You can go back in and plug that in and make sure it's true. The other way you could do this one is you can distribute first. So -5 times p is -5p. -5 times 2 is -10. Sorry, I made a mistake already. -10. And then solve it that way. Then I would add 10 to both sides. And I'd get -5p is equal to 90. Divide both sides by -5. And I get that p is equal to -18. Either way you slice it, you're going to get the right answer. And do be sure that you're checking your answers. Okay, I know that the ones that have fractions and decimals are a little tricky. So those ones are harder to check. I don't require it on those. I just recommend it. But these ones that are whole number solutions, really you should be checking them. Sophie. Let me look at the rubric. I think it does say that you need to be able to check your answers. And the only way that I can know that you checked your answers is if I see your work. So that's kind of like where, you know I do trust a lot of you guys. I know you can do it mentally, but I'm probably going to have you write out the check part. Dallas. Number 8. Yes, that was the other one that Derwin had. Okay, so let's take a look at number 8. You guys are going to be surprised at this one. It looks crazy, but let me just tell you it's not. Okay, number 8. Does the denominator of 1 matter? No. But if I really wanted to, I could multiply both sides by 1. But it's not going to do anything. So really, this is the same as that. And like I said, if you want to go through the process of multiplying both sides by 1, go right on ahead. But you do not need to. Now what am I going to do? Connor.
Add 3.
Fabulous. Add 3. 3 is equal to x. Now, if you plug that back in, negative 3 plus 3 is 0. 0 over 1, or divided by 1, is 0. There you go. You did it. Are there any other problems? Aiden.
Number 11.
Number 11, that's a great problem. Let's take a look. This problem is a great candidate for clearing out those fractions, and I'll show you why. Okay. You're going to want to multiply both sides by what? 5. Yes. If we multiply both sides by 5, we're going to get rid of those fractions. Okay, so 5 divided by 5, that cancels out, and I'm just left with a negative 18. 5 times negative k is negative 5k. 5 times negative 68 over 5 is negative 68. Now I can go through and solve regularly. So I'm going to add 18 to both sides. I get negative 5k is equal to negative 50. Divide both sides by negative 5. And you get that k is equal to 10. It's a great problem. All right, you guys. Any other questions you have for me? You're good? Okay. Well, I'm going to be walking around, so if you have any last minute questions before you leave today, I can certainly answer them. You can also email me. I'll be in here during lunch. I'll be in here after school. I'll be here tomorrow morning at 8:30. Well, I think I'll be here tomorrow morning at 8:30, but you just never know these days. So, yeah. Also be prepared for a binder check. So I will put the table of contents up right now so that you can see that. Really, since most of your homework was turned in on paper, I'm just going to be looking for your notes because I've kind of already looked at all your homework assignments, okay? So here's the table of contents. Let me zoom out a little bit. I think that's as far out as I can zoom. So I'll go down. You can pause it if you need to. And then I'll go up.